Hi. Let's discuss free will. People say all the time, I have free will. I do what I want. I have free will. You have free will, yes. You have free will. You have will that is free. You're not free. Your will is. Now I know this might sound like a random play on words, which is pointless, but it's not pointless. You have something called will. That's not you. It is only something you use to make choices in your environment. You are bound to your will. And your will, as we know, is affected and constantly impacted by all kinds of different forces. Random forces, well, I don't know how random they are, but random forces outside of you, and sometimes even within you. So let's say you're flipping through the channels on your television, right? Just flipping through. Did you ever realize that whatever random channel you're about to come across, it will cause you to have an emotional and psychological reaction based on what you're watching, especially if you're watching the news. This reaction is obviously an action. It is something that you willingly did. You would have not had that reaction if that television there and that channel and that broadcast would have not impacted you that way. If you would have switched to a different channel, you would have had a different reaction. Something completely different would have happened to you, hours or days later. Basically, it's a butterfly effect. Whatever channel you hit, whatever happens to you in one moment will cause you to take a certain course. Now let's talk about other forces, not just outside forces, but internal forces. You got some person smoking a cigarette. I know this is bad for me. I know it may cause me to have cancer one day, maybe. It smells like shit, tastes like shit. And whenever the smoke hits somebody's face, they usually end up coughing. I should quit. I really should. And I can quit whenever I want. I just don't want to. So, basically, he kind of wants to quit, but he doesn't want to. There's this duality. Which is it gonna be? Well, he's not going to quit because he doesn't want to quit. See? So he feels like he's in control, but he's not really in control, because that's what things that have an effect on your chemistry do to you. Cigarettes get you addicted. You smoke it, you're addicted to it. You can say I don't want to quit, but it's not really you not wanting to quit. It's the chemistry inside you altering your desire, your feelings towards that object, that cause you to want something other than what you would want otherwise, if that makes sense. So, you got all these forces affecting what you want, affecting your will to take a particular direction. A particular direction, not any direction. You are not free to take any direction. You are enslaved to one particular direction, the direction of your will, which is, in fact, dependent upon things connected deeply into survival instincts, and just happiness in general. Whatever, you can associate all kinds of things with that idea. Now, if you don't have a choice, if you can only do what you are emotionally, psychologically, genetically, or determined to do, then where does your free choice come in? And I know I'm rubbing up against the idea of determinism, You know, this idea that every single thing happens because something else before it caused it to happen. Everything is predetermined already. Nothing has a real, true way of unfolding in a surprising fashion. Everything just happens because something else causes it to happen. It's all determined. But there may just be a possibility that determinism and freedom can both exist. How is this possible? By eliminating the idea that free will has anything to do with independent course of action. You know, action that is independent of anything that could cause it, of anything that you know, that has nothing to do with your emotional state or your psyche or anything, or your genetics or the environment. It just happens and you chose it. And to eliminate that idea that there is such a thing as freedom based on total randomness that you just somehow pick. And also eliminating the idea that determinism locks down freedom. It doesn't have to. Because if you really think about it, freedom, you know, choice isn't there to give us this sense of liberation that we can do whatever the hell we want. Choice is there to make us understand that we are free to choose whatever serves us best. Freedom isn't something that is actually real out there. People seem to define freedom as something, you know, like I said, and as it's been mentioned, an independent choice. A choice that is random, you just pick it, oh, that's what I want, and you can have that. And, you know, that's not going to happen, because what you're choosing may not make you happy, so you have to go with what makes you happy, because that's your instinct. You cannot go against that. And if you try to go against that, well, you got your other instinct kicking in saying, well, I'm going to go against it. You know, we want to be rebellious. That's another instinct. You want to rise up and overcome something that tries to prove you wrong. In this case, a discussion or a point of view, whatever. You are determined to perceive your choices as something that you freely make. You don't really have a choice but to do what serves you. You have no choice in that. Now within that you have all kinds of choices. Whichever serves you the best, you can choose. That's where you have the freedom to work within the mind frame of your own survival, of your own happiness, your own instincts. But outside of that, choice and freedom is pointless. That's where it loses meaning. That's where freedom no longer exists. Freedom exists, but only in the context of something that needs to make choices because the options themselves have bearing on the creature or the being that is making the choices. People find it a little bit scary to think about some of these things, such as free will, and to come to the conclusion that we have no real free will. We have none. That everything is predetermined, sort of. People are afraid of this idea, but the reason there is no need to fear this is because you are perfectly locked into a frame of mind, a world that you perceive, within which your choice does matter. As long as your choice matters to you, you have freedom. You have the freedom to make the choice that's best for you. That's the only time anybody ever needs a choice, by the way, when the outcome matters. When the outcome does not matter, they no longer give a shit about choice. I think that's where enlightenment might come in, if such a thing exists. I hope this video made sense. I hope that you could get something out of it. Peace out.